Ted, maybe to you. First of all, before we go any further, several of us are talking about putting together a trip. We wanted to have this hearing. We want to visit Con Dau. Who knows if they'll let us in? But we will make every effort. And you know, as a Catholic, frankly, I want to go to church there. And so I would ask, you know, we would hope that members would join us on such a trip as quickly as we can put it together. And I think, hopefully, this terrible killing and torture, and of all things, in the midst of a burial on May 4th, I mean, it brings nothing but dishonor to the Vietnamese government, and why they can't see that. But if nobody raises it, if you have not raised it, if the Commission had not raised it, Amnesty, and of course the family members had not raised it so effectively, it would just pass, and the Vietnamese government would have gotten away with murder once again. So your testimonies today are so of great value. I also want to thank Boat People SOS. Dr. Thang has been leading the effort there for over, what, 2 decades or so, since I was chairman of the Human Rights Committee when I first met him. But they have a Save Con Dau campaign with 3 objectives: stop the ongoing persecution, protect those at risk, including Con Dau residents currently seeking refugee protection in Thailand and elsewhere, and ensure the existence of Con Dau as a Catholic parish. Which leads me to the next question. If any of us can't get in, and hopefully we will, but certainly the Commission might consider also a trip to Thailand. You know, there's a picture here. My former Chief of Staff and Ambassador Joseph Reese is there right now, and I think Mr. Kumar made a very ominous and very wise statement when he said, we may wake up and find out that people have been forcibly repatriated tonight or tomorrow night from Thailand back to a living hell and probably a jail cell and worse. So hopefully the Commission might consider a trip there as well, according to.
I'll take that back in your resolution about asking the Commission to visit, and we may have the same problem you might have about being admitted for that purpose, but certainly the refugees in Thailand are a different issue as well. We have also asked the State Department to investigate, and I would say that the ambassador's letter, I mean, this has gone way beyond a property dispute at this point in time.
One State Department rep who's in the room, and we've together, and we've all been raising this for years. Human rights do get in the way. It complicates, you know, the big smiles and the toasts at the embassies and the foreign ministries and all of that. But if this country, if the United States does not speak up for those who are persecuted and suffering, who have lost brothers, who are missing individuals, who are incarcerated, don't know where they are, who will? And so I think, you know, we got to rediscover our first values again, and that is, you know, the sanctity and the most important of all, the basic human rights that we hold so dear, and not enable human rights abuse by looking askance as those rights abuses are being committed. And I believe, with all due respect, that's exactly what we're doing with Vietnam.
Yes, ma'am, you had your hand up.
Thank you. I know this is not to speak since we still have the witness here, and this is a rare moment, and it took a lot of work from Dr. Thang and everybody else to organize this.
Will you identify yourself and give your name?
Yes, my name is Nguyen, Thang Nguyen. I'm with Voice of Vietnamese Americans. I'm a Vietnamese and an American. So I hold dear to my heart the interests of the Americans and of the Vietnamese as well. I'd like to ask, propose the suggestion that the witness here, Mr. Nguyen Vinh Quang, talked about Mr. Nguyen Ba Thanh, who is the main character that he has in this whole incident, and how Mr. Nguyen Ba Thanh was related to the power of China in Da Nang, and he has been bought and paid by the Chinese people a lot of money, has given the Chinese people a lot of land for free, and has helped to create casino in Da Nang, which is occupied and controlled all by the China government. I hope that, but in the interest of the Vietnamese people, Vietnamese sovereignty, and also the American people, I hope that we look into this further at a more deeper cause, so that we, the Americans and the Vietnamese Americans, can help to keep the sovereignty of Vietnam and the Southeast Asian Sea, and not letting this incident getting out of hand. Because please remember what happened to our President Modi here. Just because of the religion problems and human rights. I know I go too far. Please let the witness speak.
Did you say they're going to build a casino here?
They have done it in Da Nang, and it's controlled by the China in Quảng Nam.
Does the secretary, you know, I tell you, the State Department, y'all are just really, if they're going to put a gambling casino here,
In Da Nang, in Quảng Nam, in Quảng Nam. I think the witness can tell you more. We do it for
why
that.
don't you share something before we close? If you want to share something.
You understand? Yes.
Về ông Nguyễn Bắc Thanh này thì có ông đã cho người Trung Quốc thuê 100.000 hectare rừng ở Quảng Nam Đà Nẵng mà không có lấy thuế.
And I translated. Mr. Nguyen Ba Thanh, he has leased 100,000 acres of forest land in Da Nang without having tax.
Could you spell his name for the record so when the embassy looks at that and the State Department can see? Could you spell his name for the record?
Nguyen Ba Thanh, the Communist Party chief, the city of Da Nang, they leased the land to the Chinese government.
Và thứ hai là ông ta đã mở một cái casino, nhưng mà trong casino đó cái mức management từ mình đến labor là hoàn toàn người Trung Quốc, không có người Việt Nam trong đó.
He opened a casino in Da Nang with all the management and the service people in that casino hotel are Chinese.
Very much. Chinese are running gambling casinos in Vietnam. And the State Department is silent on human rights. The staff just looked to see the ambassador's, U.S. ambassador's spokesman has been speaking out. He's talked about climate change and health publicly, but almost never human rights. He probably is afraid to speak out because he may be fearful. Bush administration. The Bush administration failed, and when the president was there, he failed to eloquently speak out the way that Ronald Reagan spoke out when he went to Moscow and was at that Danilov Monastery and spoke out eloquently with regard to human rights and religious freedom. And Gorbachev was sitting and standing right with him. So it is a kind of a bipartisan problem. And now to come back to this administration, it troubles me. Probably the greatest violation and problem on human rights is taking place in Darfur. Genocide has taken place in Sudan. And Bashir, who's been charged with genocidal activity by the International Criminal Court, was sworn in again in one of the few governments that had the bad judgment to send a representative was the American government. And if you look at the latest reports that has come out with regard to the last several days, and I urge Amnesty to look at it, with regard to the special envoy in Sudan, they're ready to sell out the people of Darfur where there's genocide and the people of the south. So on the greatest issue, as bad as this is, genocide, women raped, women abused. I was the first member of the House to go to Darfur. This administration is literally AWOL. And so it doesn't surprise me that they're not going to speak out on this issue. There is another chance. I hope the representative will tell the secretary, this is an opportunity, but if the administration fails to put Vietnam on the CPC after this hearing, they will go down in history with regard to ignoring things like this. There is a quote, a song by Simon & Garfunkel called "The Boxer." It says, man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. The administration cannot disregard what we have heard here today. And I thank Congressman Gow and Congressman Smith for asking for this hearing, and I thank all of you for testifying.